Imagine the year is 1944. You're a fighter pilot. You are told that in 1 hour, you must take to the skies for a one-on-one duel against an unknown enemy. You don't know their plane, and you don't know their skill level. Your life depends entirely on the machine you choose to sit in. Most people, casual fans of history, would immediately shout names like the P-51 Mustang, the Cadillac of the skies. Others might choose the legendary Supermarine Spitfire, or the German engineering of the Messerschmitt Bf 109. But today, we are going to challenge those legends. We're going to look at the cold, hard mathematics of air combat. We're going to explore why the greatest Soviet aces, men with more kills than any Allied pilot in history, looked at the P-51 and the Spitfire, offered to them via Lend-Lease, and said, "No thank you. I'll keep my Lavochkin." Today, we analyze the La-7, His Excellency, the Tyrant of Heaven. To understand why the La-7 is the correct choice, we must first understand that a perfect airplane does not exist. Every aircraft is a series of compromises. Any weapon platform is only as good as the tactics it was built to serve. During World War II, aircraft were created for 4 specific tactical tasks. First, the fighter for gaining air superiority. These are designed to gain dominance in the air by destroying enemy aircraft in maneuverable air combat. Second, the multi-role fighter. These were designed to destroy both enemy aircraft and ground troops. Third, the interceptor. These were intended for the protection of ground objects from air attacks. And fourth, the naval and deck fighters, designed for long-distance battles over sea space and placement on aircraft carriers. A multi-role, universal fighter that was superior to specialized planes in any of these categories did not exist in World War II. In order to perform any of these roles best, the design had to make compromises. Does anyone really imagine that a multi-purpose F-16 has a real chance in maneuverable air combat with an F-15 created specifically for that task? Or the multifunctional F-35 against the older but still superior F-22 Raptor? If you're entering a dogfight against an unknown enemy, you don't want a universal plane. You must cross out the multi-role planes, the interceptors, and the deck fighters. Thus remains the Tyrant of Heaven, the fighter for the conquest of air superiority. Now we must determine the tactics we will use. The most proven effective tactic for dealing with other fighters is free hunting. Soviet Marshal Alexander Pokrishkin, the second highest scoring Soviet ace with 59 victories, defined the hunter's motto in his book, Tactics of Fighter Aviation. He said, "A fighter-hunter is the highest form of combat activity. His task is to find the enemy, to shoot down, and not to be defeated himself. His motto is, found, killed, gone." Aces must have highly developed initiative and ingenuity. Confusion and panic are alien to the ace. This free hunting method contributed to the massive growth in victory numbers. It was the basic method used by the German experts. 101 German experts had 100 or more Allied planes on their list. 15 of them had more than 200. 2 of them, Gerhard Barkhorn and Erich Hartmann, had over 300. Their achievements far exceeded those of the Western Allied fighters. The basic principles of the free hunt were simple but deadly. The basis was a pair of aircraft, the master and the slave. A group of planes, usually a pair or a unit, would fly on a mission where the specific task was not set. The hunters independently determined their goals. Only highly trained pilots with previous victories were sent on these plans. The tactics of finding targets were based on taking a tactically advantageous position. Either the pair would divide, with the leader using the terrain and weather to approach unnoticed while the slave covered from above, or they would perform a maneuver to attack from the sun and from a height that allowed for high speed. The goal was always to get into the enemy's tail and shoot from cannons at a short distance. The use of hit-and-run tactics is based on height advantages. You attack from a dive, followed by a slide back up. The enemy, lacking energy, cannot catch the attacker. This allows you to fight superior forces as long as you maintain height and speed. For all these tactics, the best fighter of World War II is the La-7. It had excellent maneuverability, high speed, and strong weapons. It corresponded perfectly to the formula: speed, maneuver, fire. When the La-7 was sent for combat tests in the 63rd Guards Aviation Regiment in the Baltics, it became a nightmare for the Germans. During a month-long air battle, the La-7 regiment destroyed 55 enemy fighters, losing only 4 aircraft in combat. The La-7 outperformed almost all German aircraft of the time. In combat maneuvering, it showed better lift than the Focke-Wulf 190 and the Messerschmitt 109, catching them in both ascending turns and combat reversals. Experience showed it was better to escape an enemy on your tail with a steep ascending spiral. On August 25th, Major Veronco's group of 6 La-7s flew to clear the airspace. They encountered 12 FW-190s and 2 Mi-109GS. 7 enemy aircraft were shot down, and only 1 Soviet plane was lost, with the pilot escaping by parachute. Luftwaffe pilots often preferred to avoid direct battles with these powerful Soviet aircraft. The German command eventually had to send only their best of the best, like the elite wing Jägerschwader 54, to the front lines where the La-7 served. The La-7 was the preferred aircraft of the greatest Soviet aces like Ivan Kozadub. This explains why it is superior to the latest modifications of the German fighters. But why put over the P-51 Mustang? Soviet fighter pilots, especially the aces, did not want the Spitfires or Mustangs delivered by Lend-Lease. Part of this was about the weapons. For American and British pilots, a bundle of .50-inch machine guns was the way to hit something. But Soviet and German aces were excellent marksmen. They achieved the same result with 1 or 2 shots from their cannons. Projectile damage and bullet damage simply cannot be compared. The bigger problem that Mustang fans don't understand is that the P-51 wasn't actually designed as an air superiority fighter. It was created as an escort fighter for bomber formations. Its high speed, excellent altitude characteristics, and long range allowed it to cover bombers deep in German territory. But those same characteristics make it less effective in maneuverable air combat. To be maneuverable, an aircraft must be somewhat aerodynamically unstable. The Americans eventually understood this the hard way. It wasn't until May 1964, when the theory of maneuverability and energy was authored by John Boyd and Thomas Christie, that the U.S. Air Force got back on track. This led to the creation of the F-15 Eagle, an airplane that returned normalcy to the U.S. Air Force. The La-7 was the precursor to this philosophy. It was a specialist in an age of generalists. It was a hunter in a sky full of prey. So, if you have to enter that dogfight tomorrow and you want to come home, don't look for the most famous plane. Look for the tyrant. Look for the La-7.